You never saw such commotion up and down the house in all your life as when my Uncle Podger undertook to do a job. The picture would have come home from the frame makers and be standing in the dining room waiting to be put up. And then Podger would ask what was to be done with it, and Uncle Podger would say, "Oh, you leave that to me. Don't you any of you worry yourselves about that. I'll do that." And then he would take off his coat and begin. He would send a girl out for 6 pence worth of nails, and then one of the boys after her to tell her what size to get. And from that, he would gradually work down and start the whole house. "Now you go get me my hammer, Will," he would shout, "and bring me the rule, Tom, and I shall want a step ladder, and I'd better have a kitchen chair, too. And Jim, you run around to Mr. Goggles and tell him Paul's kinds regards and hopes his leg's better. And will he lend him his spirit level? And don't you go, Maria, because I shall want someone to hold me the light. And when the girl comes back, she must go out once again for a bit of picture code. And Tom, where's Tom? Tom, you come here. I shall want you to hand me up the picture." And then he would lift up the picture and drop it, and then it would come out of its frame, and then he would try to save the glass and cut himself. And then he would spring around the room looking for his handkerchief. He could not find his handkerchief because it was in the pocket of the coat that he had taken off. He did not know where he put his coat, and all the house had to leave off looking for his stools and start looking for his coat, while he would dance around and hinder them. "Doesn't anybody in the whole house know what my coat is? I never came across such a set in all my life. Upon my word I didn't. 6 of you, and you can't find the coat that I put down not 5 minutes ago. Well, if all the..." And he'd get up and find that he'd been sitting on it. I would call out, "Oh, you can give it up. I found it myself now. Might as well ask the cat to find anything as expect you people to find it." And when half an hour had been spent on tying up his finger, and a new glass had been got, and the tools, and the ladder, and the chair, and the candle he had bought, he would have another go. The whole family, including the girl and the charwoman, standing around in a semicircle ready to help. 2 people would hold the chair, and a third would help him upon it and hold him there. The fourth would hand him the nail, and the fifth would pass him the hammer. And then he would hold the nail and drop it. "There," he would say in an injured tone. "Now the nail's gone." And we would all have to go down on our knees and grovel for it while he would stand up on the chair and grunt and want to know if he would be kept up there all evening. The nail would have been found at last, and by that time he would have lost the hammer. "Where's the hammer? What did I do with the hammer? Great heavens, 7 of you keeping around here and you don't know what I did with the hammer?" We would find the hammer for him, and then he would have lost sight of the mark that he made on the wall where the nail was to go in. And each of us had to get up on the chair beside him and see if we could find it. And we would each discover it in a different place, and he would call us all fools, one after another, and tell us to get down. And he would take the rule and remeasure and find that he wanted half 31 and 3/8 inches from the corner. And we'd try to do it in his head and go mad. And we would all try to do it in our heads and arrive at different results and sneer at one another. And in the general row, the original number would be forgotten, and Uncle Podger would have to measure it all over again. He would use a bit of string this time, and at a critical moment, when the old fool was leaning over the chair at an angle of 45 and trying to reach 0.3 inches beyond what was possible for him to reach, the string would slip, and down he would slide onto the piano, a really fine musical effect being produced by the suddenness with which his head and body struck all the notes at the same time. And Aunt Maria would say that she would not allow the children to stand around and hear such language. At last Uncle Podger would get the spot fixed again, and put the point of the nail on it with his left hand, and take the hammer with his right hand, and with the first blow he would smash his thumb and drop the hammer with a yell on somebody's toes. Aunt Maria would mildly observe that the next time Uncle Podger was going to hammer a nail into a wall, she'd hope he'd let her know in time so that she could make arrangements and go spend a week with her mother while it was being done. "Oh, you women always make such a fuss over everything," Uncle Podger would reply, picking himself up. "Why, I like doing a little job of this sort." And then he would have another try, and, on the second blow, the nail would go clean through the plaster, and half the hammer after it. And Uncle Podger would be precipitated against the wall with a force nearly sufficient to flatten his nose. Then we had to find the rule in the string again, and a new hole was made. And at about midnight, the picture would be up, very crooked and insecure, and the wall for yards around would be looking as if it had been smoothed down with a rake, and everybody dead beat and wretched, except Uncle Podger. "There you are," he would say, stepping heavily off the chair onto the charwoman's corns, and surveying the mess he had made with evident pride. "Why, some people have a man in to do a little thing like that."